Today, I'm super excited to have Kay Prall on the show, who's a day to day artist manager over at Red Light Management, one of the largest management companies in the country. She's staying busy with artists like KALEO, Chris Stapleton, Joy Williams, who a lot of people know from the Civil Wars.
Yeah.
Kay, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm stoked to talk to you. Right now, you're at Red Light Management.
I am.
Let's talk about the journey. How did you get to Red Light?
Yeah. Um, I got to Red Light when I graduated college, and I was a day to day right out of college. And I went to Belmont, right down the street.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and I met a manager whilst I was in college, and she was awesome. And it was like January or February, and she was saying that she wanted like someone just to help out, but then like didn't need anything at the time. So I was like, okay. So then I moved back to Nashville. I moved back to Philadelphia after school, my senior year of college because it was COVID, and I'm from Philadelphia. And so I moved back to Philadelphia, and I was going to move to New York, and I
Wait,
was
go
like,
Eagles. They won the Super
yeah,
Bowl,
go
right?
Birds. Thank you for saying
Okay,
that.
cool.
That's very kind. Go Birds,
Go Birds.
massively. Um, and we, me, I moved back to Nashville because I couldn't move to New York with COVID, really. Like, music industry was just in shambles,
Mhm.
and New York was in shambles. And all my contacts were here, and then I ended up working at a hair salon for like the summer and living in my friend's guest house for free because I was broke. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And then I got a random call from the manager that I talked to named Holly, and she was like, I need a day to day. I was like, okay. So then I ended up starting day to day for her in like September. And yeah, it was like off to the races from there. And we were managing like 6 to 7 artists at the time.
Which artist?
Oh my gosh. American Aquarium, Hayes Carl, Kathleen Edwards, Lola Kirk, Tiana Esperanza, The Lovin', and I feel like I'm missing one, but I think that was it. Yeah.
So at that point, what was like your biggest like aha moment
Oh, and
when
the
you
Secret Sisters.
Oh, the Secret
Sorry.
Sisters,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
What was your biggest like aha moment when you got in that role and started doing that work?
Oh, aha moment from like,
Like, oh, this is what it's like, or like,
okay, yeah. The first day of my job, I had to cancel a tour because of COVID.
oh,
My
well,
first day
that's
of work,
wow.
which was crazy. And like COVID was just, I mean, that landscape coming back, like music industry wise, like I think everyone was just trying to figure out what they were doing.
They're like, how did we do
Yeah,
this?
and especially from a live perspective, there was like
Yeah.
so many restrictions and like tickets were just like not selling, and it was just hard to be on the road from like a safety perspective and just like all sorts of stuff. And yeah, my first day on the job, we were like on a call with digital. It was like, "Yep, we got to like cancel this tour." And I was like, "Okay." And it was just, and I had no idea what I was doing. I had like I was very much like a, yeah, I can figure it out type of person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that was definitely a moment I was like, okay, this is real shit.
Yeah.
Can I curse on this?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. It is
Um,
the music industry.
that's fair. Thank you. Um, but yeah, so I think that was a real moment, and like just I think also the amount of clients that we had at the time was just like, okay, I'm like doing a lot at once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be good with task switching
Mm-hmm.
and spinning multiple plates at the same time and not dropping one.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you find that you instantly loved artist management, or were you kind of like kind of still a little apprehensive about it?
Yeah, I have always loved artist management. I think from a younger age even, and without knowing per se, that's what I was doing. I grew up in like a really artistic community. I was like very lucky. I was an artist myself.
Hey, me too,
Um,
in a way.
yeah, like
Kind of.
I feel like a lot of us are like
Yeah.
you start with just like a love and passion for music, either because you're doing it or like you're going to shows a lot. And I grew up in the age of like the internet was, I don't want to say newer. That's not makes me sound like I'm like a million years old. But like Tumblr and Twitter and
Hmm.
like all these things is where you would find your music. And so I was constantly finding new music online, going to shows, and then I was an artist myself, and I was just in this like world where we were like DIYing a lot of stuff too.
Yep.
And so I was, without knowing, like managing my friends or like helping them build websites and merch, and we were putting on shows, and and then my own stuff. And so I was constantly kind of like involved in this businessy side of the world. And then when I went to college and I was an intern at a management company, I was like, okay, this is really cool. I really like this. I was kind of already doing this, um, very like, loosely.
Hmm.
And then when I got into a level of working with other managers and watching them do it, I was like, okay, yeah, I like really, really love this.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, I had like a real hunger for it. And also, I think being an artist, it changes your perspective for being a manager, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, just because you feel it for them,
Hmm.
like, and you like want it for them so badly that like I was like, I have to put that feeling somewhere. It's like management's the only thing I can really do that in.
Yeah.
And every time I would kind of step away from it, I was like, oh, like I need to do this,
And there's so much to artist management. I don't think a
Hmm.
lot of aspiring artists realize how much work is going on
Hmm.
just in the management field,
Yeah.
when they're working with their artists. Like, what are some things going on like day to day for you right now, or and who's keeping you the most busy in terms of all the work you're doing?
Yeah. Keeping me the most busy is KALEO, which we just announced a new album that's coming out May 9th. That's going to be really exciting. And they are constantly moving. I think also the interesting thing about them is that they're from Iceland. So we have to deal with a lot of like foreign stuff. So like right now, like I had to like track how many days the lead singer has been in America because he
Right.
can't be in America over a certain amount of days.
So is it like a work visa?
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
we have to like make sure his visa's like up to date and like in the sense of, I mean, that's not taking up all my time, but that was top of mind. Like this morning, I was like, oh shit, how many days has JJ been in America? Because like we have to plan all these events we're doing and like tour, like all that stuff. We have to like really schedule out, or then we have to like send him back to Europe to then come back to America. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah, Kaleo's keeping me very, very busy just because we're on album cycle
Hmm.
and releasing this new record. Um, we have some South America tour dates coming up, which is really exciting. We just got back from Australia. We have some May dates coming up that are really exciting. We have a sold out Red Rock show with Marcus King Band, who I
Love me some
love.
Marcus King.
Yeah, who doesn't?
I saw that. Okay, his music video for Lonely Cowboy
Hmm.
was filmed in the Coliseum.
Yes.
How what do you have to do to get clearance to film something in the Coliseum?
I don't know. That's like pre me, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's I we're currently going through some government stuff for another music video we're trying to do for like in a different country.
Yeah.
So going through that process, I'm assuming it was a similar vibe to getting
Mhm.
them to be filmed in the Coliseum,
Now you
which
have kind of a little bit more of an idea of like where to go and who to talk to.
yeah, but yeah, that was a crazy experience because only like a couple of people, I think like Paul McCartney and like there's only a handful of people who've ever even done that. And yeah, and there was like he filmed the music video just him, but then we also did a show there as well with like a select few of people, full
Wow.
band. Yeah, which is crazy. Um, but yeah, that video is crazy. And that's also like very Kaleo. They love to do videos and like very like almost like the seven wonders of the world type of feeling, like
Mhm.
just insane places.
Yeah.
Um, and like landscapes has always been really like Kaleo's biggest thing with music videos. Cause
And I
I
feel like
think,
that works to the artist's advantage of being super creative on a
mhm,
visual level because that's just going to entice people to want to watch. Like,
yeah,
wait, what?
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. And I think too with their music is very cinematic. If you like kind of listen through their discography, like it's very we have a lot of sync for them
Mhm.
because they're just like we just the NHL, like the playoffs, we just launched their like ad campaign with them and their song Legacy, which is off the new album, is on there and I was like crying. I was like, this is like I have chills. Like it's
Yeah.
so cool. But their music has always kind of been like that. They're like the Way Down We Go band.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
So
know.
that's
And that's everywhere.
which I sometimes joke that we should put like we're the Way Down We Go band on behind them at like a festival
Mhm.
because sometimes people are like, "Oh, like that's the band."
Yeah. And
Um,
that's interesting that you brought that up because that's a title that instantly you know exactly
yeah,
what the song is,
yeah.
which is kind of rare.
Yeah, it is kind of rare. I think these days it's very
Yeah.
rare, especially. Um,
Yeah, when you have 100,000 songs a day being released,
right.
it's like,
Where it's like now the line is like, "Oh, did you hear that on TikTok?"
yeah.
You know what I mean? "Oh, that song from TikTok." And it's like, "Okay. Yeah," which is fine, you know? Hell yeah. Um,
Hell yeah,
but
TikTok.
hell yeah, TikTok. It's like, please don't take away TikTok again because
Yeah.
that was a shit show.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
The emails I
I
was
don't know.
getting from that where it's like, "All the music is taken down from TikTok. TikTok's bad." I was like, "Okay." Um, but yeah, the Way Down We Go band is kind of a running joke a little bit, but it's true. Like they're in so much stuff with just that one song that it's like it's crazy when
Yeah.
people can like recognize that it's the same thing.
Has that, to your knowledge, has that been one of the biggest levers for that? Is like sync placement
Mm,
in terms of
for the
like really
band,
launching them?
that's a good question. I think has that been a lever for launching the band? Yes and no. I think like I hope this answers the question, but we with Way Down We Go being so big and especially in like the sync world,
Mhm.
I think it at the time that that song came out, it definitely like pulled the lever for that band and they blew up like for sure. And then like now I think what we're doing especially with new music and like where the band is going, we're trying to like bridge the gap almost of people knowing that it's Way Down We Go and that's the band and like, "Oh my god, I love that song. Oh my god, that rock band is so cool." And then this is their new music and this is what they're doing. So it's like this interesting thing now that we're bridging kind of the gap for fans to now correlate, "Oh, we see an ad on Instagram for like KALEO's going on tour."
Mhm.
And then them thinking like, "Oh, KALEO, they were the ones that sang Way Down We Go and now they have all this new music." And so I think like that's kind of where we're seeing like the sync stuff come into place. I also think with this new album and as like some more songs get released and stuff, like these songs are really big and like very cinematic. And I think that sync will be like I'm hoping sync will be a
Yeah,
big thing for them.
right.
It always kind of has been.
I
So,
feel like the more you have like Netflix,
mm,
obviously, and then you have Amazon and you have Paramount Plus and all these original content being
yeah,
coming out, right? It's
yeah.
lending to way more opportunities for sync.
Oh, yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yeah. Like, um, can we get on like Love is Blind or something? That's what I'm thinking. That would
I
be
know.
really cool.
There was
But
an artist who I just saw in the last season. Did you
mhm.
watch it this most
Of
recent
course
one?
I did.
Yeah, me too.
Every
I mean, it
episode.
wasn't the best season,
I
but
was, like, waiting I mean, I can't tell you the last time I was, like, waiting for something to come out. I was like, "When's the next episode coming out?"
yeah,
Like, that's crazy,
yeah.
but yeah.
They've dialed it in now to where you're like anticipating the next like few
Yeah.
releases coming out rather than how they just to drop the whole season
Yeah.
and then you binge it in like 2 days.
Yeah, and then people were like they're, like, trying to stop binge culture.
Yeah,
Anyway, that's
right.
ridiculous,
Let's
but
keep binge culture. Like, why do we have to
let's keep
cancel
binge
that?
culture.
Yeah,
Don't cancel that.
yeah.
Okay.
There's good binge and there's bad binge, and that's a good binge.
But yeah, Love is Blind that was hilarious. There's bad binge and there's good binge. Are you talking about Alex Warren on Love is
I
Blind
I think
or
so. They just had their like debut artist performance on the show. Yeah.
Yes, that was, like, super interesting.
And then the next day I heard, I don't know what channel on Sirius XM I was listening to, but the song came on. I was
Mm,
like, okay. And then I instantly recognized, oh, that was just recently on Love is Blind.
yeah.
That's that artist. And I made that connection. So there's like, boom, 2 impressions I just got of that
Oh, yeah.
artist.
Well, also, like, Yellowstone. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like because we had a couple things with Yellowstone, and, um, and that was, like you would see artists that were I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that was on Yellowstone," and then you, like, listen it's just I think that was um, a sync TV show for, like, a lot of artists. Because even, like, Lainey Wilson, like, a lot of her stuff was on Yellowstone, then she was on Yellowstone.
Right.
Um, and that like, if you look at the Yellowstone playlist, it's crazy how many artists you're like, "Oh my god, I love that
Yeah.
artist," or like, "Oh my god, they're always playing, like, on, the radio or Hot Country Finds or something like that."
Yeah. I was talking to another artist manager about sync placements,
Mhm,
and we were just kind of bantering about it. And I feel like there's an emotional connection we
mhm.
naturally have to songs, right?
Yeah.
We should. And then if it's in a show or a movie that you also have an emotional connection to,
Yeah.
then it's like double
Oh my
double
gosh, yeah.
connection, right?
Oh my gosh. And, I was just watching a interview with Phineas about when he wrote, with Ash on that song that was, like, about it was, like, the marriage song. Do you know what I'm talking about? And it
I
was
don't
on
know.
to all oh my gosh, that song was, like, huge. It was on To All the Boys I Loved Before or whatever, that movie on Netflix where, like I feel like my TikTok is showing through right now, like, my TikTok obsession. Anyway, they wrote this, like, amazing song, and, it, like when they released it, like, nothing really happened, and then it was on this movie, and then that song, like, blew up, and she
Yeah.
blew up, and it was crazy, and I remember that because now, like, every time I hear that song, I was like, "Oh my god, that, like, really, like, cute movie or whatever that I, like, binged during COVID."
That you have an emotional connection
I'm like, "Oh
to.
my god, yeah, I'll, like,
Right.
cry now."
It's
But yeah.
very psychologically driven, I guess, would be the way like that
Yeah.
marketing
It's
tactic
smart.
specifically.
It's so smart. I
Yeah.
love it, and I think it's, like, sync is, like it's it's a massive deal in my opinion, and it's so important, especially with how much is on like, how much we can consume from, like,
Mhm.
a TV, movie perspective. If you get something in there right now, it's like,
Yeah. I mean,
Twisters is a great
oh, yeah, I
is
know.
that soundtrack?
Yep. So not
Mhm.
only is it great on an impactful level for the
Yeah.
artist to find new fans, right? But it's
Mhm.
also impactful as a revenue stream for the
Mhm.
artist.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yeah. I'm like sometimes I look at checks and I'm just like, "Damn,
Yeah.
that's a sync placement. That's
Right.
pretty good."
I
Yeah.
mean, I wonder what like I mean, if you going back to the Twisters soundtrack,
Yeah.
like if you had that main, I don't know what the opening song was
Oh,
in the
I do. I
movie.
love that album.
What is it?
It's like, that Ain't No Love in Oklahoma by Luke Combs or whatever.
Is that the one?
I think so. Yeah,
Do they
it's like the
play
main
that
thing.
opening credits or end credits?
I think it's in the movie actually. In the end credits, I'm not sure what the end credits are.
Because the pay scale works as to where like if
Yeah.
you are opening credits, I can't remember if it's opening credits or ending credits is like the
Yeah.
biggest paycheck.
Oh my gosh, really? What about trailers though too?
Good question.
Because
We're gonna have
that
to do
Luke
some
Combs
research after
song was
this.
I know we're gonna do some research. That Luke Combs song was on my TikTok, like, ads for Twisters 247,
Yeah.
and it was stuck in my head. I mean, it's a great song. I'm, like, not a big I shouldn't say I'm not a big country fan. I am. I think also just being in Nashville,
Mhm.
like, it is what it is. Um, but, like, I listen to the Twisters album, like, all the time,
Yeah.
which I feel like is a little embarrassing, but
No, that's fine. No, that's great. I
Yeah.
love the original Twister soundtrack from was it the
Oh,
90s?
I've never
Oh yeah.
I know I've seen the movie, but I didn't really look into the soundtrack.
It's more my taste of music. It's like
Okay.
Van Halen and
Oh,
Eric Clapton is on there.
yeah.
So there's a lot of cool stuff like that.
Okay, I love that. I love
Different
movie
vibe.
soundtracks.
Yeah.
Movie soundtracks are my favorite. Like to listen to while I work and stuff.
I used to listen to a lot of non-lyrical music. I don't know
Yes,
how you describe it.
me as well.
Just like
Non-lyrical music, just music.
just music that doesn't have lyrics to help keep
Yeah.
me focused.
Would that be instrumental?
Yeah, would we call it
I
instrumental?
don't know. What
I
would
don't
you call
know.
that? Instrumental.
Instrumental music, yeah. Um, okay, so what else is keeping you busy? I know you're also in the artist management camp for Chris Stapleton. Are you learning anything
Mhm.
exciting in
Yeah.
that lane?
Um, yeah, I think like I'm new in that space. I'm such a student in that world right now. That's kind of how I describe it. And like the way that I hopped onto that was such like a magical thing because when I switched over, so before I was in artist management for Red Light, I was a tour marketer.
Mm,
So like my trajectory was I was doing day-to-day stuff at Red Light, and then I left, and I was doing some other cool stuff for, like, a hotel company, actually, and that's how I got involved in the live music space. And then I came back to Red Light, and I was doing tour marketing, which was really interesting and very fun. And then I left tour marketing, still in Red Light, and went to day-to-day and back into management world. Fell on the KALEO camp with an, amazing manager who I work with, Steve. And then at Red Light, it's very, like, familial in the
mhm.
sense of, like, if someone needs help, like, we can hop on their team and stuff like that, and I was only working on KALEO, and the head of our office was kind of like, "Hey, we need someone with Clay, who is, day to day with Chris and Joy Williams and the Napiers. I was like, okay. And so I met with him and it was like amazing. He's awesome. And I kind of just like fell into this world and it was like a kind of a pinch me moment, I think later, because I was like, holy shit, like this could be really cool. So I'm definitely like new to the Chris Stapleton world. Um, and I keep saying to people like I'm such a student just because that the way that that is ran is so tight ship
Yeah.
and it's so fascinating to watch and to like just now start to become a part of. And I'm like very excited to see where that goes. But yeah, that's like a well-oiled machine.
I was literally just gonna say
Yeah.
well-oiled machine.
And I think what
That's
I'm
wild.
learning right now, especially is like like just my organization skills, like being an organized manager, how important that is, being like an incredibly informed manager, especially when you're presenting something to
Mhm.
someone. So if I need to go like get like a list of people we want to work with or like, you know, like influencers or anything of the sorts, like we want to collaborate with such and such. And this is not even just for Chris, but like I'm now like in the space where I'm getting so much information. So like maybe when I like first started a couple of years ago, I'd have been like, here's a list of people and like their handles. Now it's like, okay, here's a list of people we want to work with, their handles. There's like, here's the demographics they work with. Here's like their social numbers. Here's projects they've done. This is what like it's the more in depth you can be as a manager, especially when you're presenting projects, is just like it's way better,
Mhm.
regardless of the scale that you're working at. Clay's taught me that, from the Chris perspective. He's like, when I present something, like, this is what it has to look like. And it's like, oh shit, like, that is a lot of information.
Yeah.
But like getting into that habit just makes everything more efficient because they move at such a fast pace
Mhm.
that like you can't be like, oh, let me go look that up. I mean, I guess you
Yeah.
could, but like, the
I mean,
more information
on
you have, the better.
my side as a publicist
Yeah.
over the past how many ever years, that's something I got really good at was like being how detailed can I get with this interview opportunity
Yeah.
that we're about to put in front of management,
Mm-hmm.
or if we're working with the artist directly, like how preemptively can I answer all the questions they're going to have about
Sure.
this particular opportunity?
Yeah. I mean, that's such a big part of management, truthfully.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that the hard way, 100%.
Hmm.
Um, of just like learning even the hard way of sending back and forth a million emails, right? Of like,
Yeah.
I have to go ask someone this, I have to go ask someone this, and then ask someone that, and that. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's eating time.
Yeah.
But now when I do stuff, it's like, okay, we're like, this is all the information. And like, even when you brought up like interviews and just like publicists, like I was just scheduling a bunch of interviews for KALEO. And when I do that now, like it's I put way more information in front of not only our publicists but also the artists, and then it's just like easy.
Yeah.
And like just stuff like that is like a little goes a long way,
For
in
sure.
my opinion. Um, and I think that that's like a learned skill. I will
Oh,
say,
absolutely.
I was not that way when I first started. I was just like head in the clouds a little bit, to be
Well,
honest.
I mean, going back to like how you said starting off as an artist, and I
Yeah,
kind of was too. I was kind of like, well, my initial idea was like, I want to be on stage.
yeah,
I want to at least play guitar in a band or
yeah,
whatever. And then I'm like, well, that's not panning out.
yeah,
Let me go to music business school and then
sure,
do that. Like that'll be my plan B.
yeah,
And then while I was doing it, I'm like, okay, I can't do both.
yeah,
I'm like, and I got all these bills to pay in LA,
mhm,
rents due. I'm like, okay, let's just go the industry route.
yeah,
Maybe I could be a songwriter. Then I found out,
mhm,
nope, I don't have enough time to do both. So
yeah,
I just went full on industry.
yeah,
But it's like, I think creatives are kind of, I don't know if it's left brain or right brain, whatever it
mhm,
is.
left brain for
And then
sure.
it's definitely a skill you have to learn to be like detail oriented and
Mhm.
organized, which does not come naturally to me. But then, yeah, those are definitely skills you have to like
Oh,
really
yeah,
hone in on.
and it's hard, in my opinion. It was hard for me, at least. Um, and I was very much a creative, still am, and that's like kind of my management approach, truthfully,
Hmm.
is I'm a very creative, forward person. But then I also do have like a love for processes and
Yeah.
systems. And like, I don't know if that's like the athlete in me. I was also an athlete growing up. And so like I was very ingrained to have like, processes and systems and you do things 100 times. Well, you just
That's
whatever.
something I didn't learn until starting my company,
Yeah.
how important systems and processes
Oh my
are,
gosh, yeah.
especially if you're training other people who are joining the
Mhm.
company
Yeah.
or just as a reference guide for people to go, "Wait, how do I
Oh
write a
my
bio?
gosh.
Or how do I write a press release? Or how
Yeah.
do I craft a pitch?" And
It's
it's like, we
crazy.
have it all documented, like, it's
Mhm.
insane.
It's so important. I worked with when I was an intern, I worked with the most organized woman I've ever met in my entire life. Her name's Stephanie Edwards, and she's incredible. And now she works at Asthmatic Kitty, which I don't know if you know that label. They're awesome. It's Sufjan Stevens'
Okay.
place. But she was at Olivia Management,
Oh, okay.
and she was like kind of my boss, kind of not. But she ended up being one of my best friends, and I lived in her house for free. Um, but she was like the processes and systems queen, and she had all these like apps and stuff we would use, like Asana and like Airtable, and like
Yeah.
if you like, it was just everything was so well thought out. I was like, I don't know when I'll get to that place, but hopefully one day. But just the way that she used to organize everything that we did within the company, it was crazy, and I admired it fully.
I mean, yeah, if you have, like, 3 artists that are active in cycle on tour, like,
Mhm.
you have to be
Oh
organized.
my
There's
gosh,
so
yeah.
much that could fall through the cracks.
So much, and, like, I see it happen all the time. I was just on a call, like, last week where I was like, "We just need an Excel spreadsheet with what's going on, like, please," because like, going through searching through emails, I'm like, is the bane of my existence, to be honest. I think it's anyone's, to be like, truthfully.
Yeah.
Um, but just how important it is to keep your shit straight, in my opinion. Like, and I say that all the time, like, keep your shit straight, just keep it clean, keep your side of the street clean, like, whatever saying you need, but, like, if you because then it just gets things done so much faster,
Yeah.
and, like, I hate the, like, "Well, I thought you were doing that," or, like, "Where are we on this?" or, like, whatever. It's just, like, if we have it in one place, and, like, it sounds like I'm, like, a
Yeah.
a sponsor for, like, I don't know, Excel, um, but Google Sheets, um and I'm, like, telling on myself. I'm like, I need to probably do that more, honestly, now that I'm saying it,
I'm
but
with you.
I think it's yeah, so it's, like, a very, very, important thing in my opinion as a manager
Yeah.
to be organized.
Well, if you're like me, you have, like, Asana,
Yeah.
and then I also have, what is it, like, Notion. So,
Okay.
like, there's 2 to-do lists I have
Yeah.
running, and then I'll have, like, a handwritten to-do list. So there's
Mhm.
3. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Just need one place.
I know. I have, like, a really fun notebook I do all my things in, and then I gotta put it somewhere else. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is insane." The calendars as well. I'm like, "Shit, I have, like, 1,000 calendars." That's, like, in,
Yeah.
like, 4 different places.
Right.
Outlook, like, Apple, Gmail, it's, like, all these different things. So, yeah, I'm like and again, as a creative, going back to that, it's like, it can be very, like, "Holy shit." So trying to hone that in
Yeah.
to, like, being a creative, but also needing to be organized is like it's a tough battle for
It's
sure.
tough. But the
Yeah.
better you are at it, the better your artist is gonna do because you're
Yeah.
on top of your stuff. Nothing's falling through the
100%.
cracks.
Yeah, so then when they're asking you, "What's this interview today?" You're a lot like, I don't fucking know," and then looking through your email.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, it's happened to me.
Let's talk about Joy Williams.
Yeah,
So she's not in cycle on an album right now and
correct.
not touring or anything.
Yeah.
But what has that experience been like? We also we just did PR for Charlie Peacock, who produced some of the Civil Wars
Yeah.
stuff, and so yeah, so I have
Mhm.
like that weird third degree
Oh my gosh, I
connection
love
there.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, Joy is crushing it right now because she's doing that awesome Apple podcast.
Southern Craft on Apple.
Yes, on Apple, it's awesome. So that's been really great, and I, like, just started kind of getting we're, like, onto a new season right now, so that's, like, super fun. And that team over there with Apple is just, like, really creative and, like, very, they're so in tuned, like, to
Hmm.
what's new right now, so, like, the people that we're getting on there are, like, really exciting. Um, but yeah, Joy that has been, like, a little bit of a dream come true for me, not to sound like too much of a fangirl on the pod, but I was, like, a big Civil Wars fan growing up, and, like, also I think as, like, an Americana fan, she,
Hmm.
like, in my opinion, created that world really, like, she is just one of the best songwriters, like, she is this is like a Joy Williams, like, just love fest right now. But, I think what's been exciting with her and what I got to kind of like hop into is just my creative brain got to really start to hop in there.
Yeah.
And looking at the world of just like publishing, who she's writing with, who we're going to get her into a room with, where she wants to go with like new music. You know, does she want to start writing for a new project, stuff like that, and just like kind of thinking, okay, she has this like awesome career, and she's so well loved in town, especially like as a writer and outside of town. But you know, and she has this awesome podcast, you know, but her writing is just so incredible, and so it's like, where do we go next with that? Um, I think has really been exciting for me, and also I'm very lucky. Like the two managers I work with, who are like my bosses, are very very what's the word? Just like they really believe in me, and they're like they're really good advocates. So they're kind of like really giving me the space to do not like do my own thing, but like grow as a manager. And
It's
because their
great.
main goal is for me to just like go find a client that I can sign and like just like, you know, I don't want to say no one wants to be a day to day forever. But like, you know, like some people want to be a day to day forever. That's awesome. Like that's not really my trajectory. That's not really my
Because you're
goal.
so creative. I
I'm
think
so
that's part of it.
creative, yeah, and I also just like, you know, I think I it's hard though, like I want to, you know, manage my own clients and do all this own thing and find my own artist, but I'm also very collaborative. So it is sometimes fun to be able
Mhm.
to collaborate with, you know, two other managers. Um, but yeah, with Joy, like I think my creative side has definitely been able to flow, which is really fun.
That's great because
Yeah.
I think 2 big parts of being a great manager
Mhm.
is that you're able to go out and find opportunities for your
Yeah.
artists and bring them to the table,
Yeah.
and then also kind of like, what is the artist's vision? Where do they wanna go? And then
Mhm.
what levers can I pull to help
Yeah.
make that vision come to reality?
Yeah, exactly. And that's like where I really strive, I think, is putting pieces together. Like a lot of times it's like, okay, here's, I don't want to say a problem, but here's an idea. And like we want to take this there, but then we have this other piece. And like kind of, and my biggest joy is to kind of like, how can we put the puzzle pieces together to kind of like, okay, we want to do, you know, a live show or something with like a brand partnership, but we also have this stuff, like just really making it all flow together
Mhm.
is my like bread and butter. I
Yeah.
love doing that stuff. And I think I don't know if that comes from like I don't know where that comes from, truthfully. I don't know if it came from like when I worked with hotels and stuff like that. I feel like maybe, but it's fun. I love that stuff.
Yeah, because there's like multiple ways up the mountain. If we're talking
Mhm.
about like an
Yeah.
artist's journey to
Yeah.
the top, there's multiple ways to get up there,
Oh my gosh,
you
yeah.
know? And it's just like cherry picking what's gonna fit me as an
Mhm.
artist the right way. Like, is it
Yeah.
a sync opportunity that actually is in a movie or a commercial that actually makes sense,
Yeah.
you know? Or is it way off brand and it doesn't make sense and we should avoid it because then it'd be like negative um, association for
Yeah.
brand, right? So it's
100%.
like those kind of decision making factors too.
Yeah, and, like, you have some bands that are, like, road dogs, as I call, and, like, they're just, like, want to be on the road 24/7,
Yeah.
and, like, that's great too, like, that's I love that. I have a real admiration for people who are like, "I wanna go be on the road."
Well, that's their home. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
The exactly, and
yeah.
so, you know, I worked with a band where, like, all they wanted to the place they felt most comfortable was on the road. So, like, trying to figure out how to get them to do that because like,
Hmm.
these days, in my opinion, it's hard when you have a band that's like you talk to a manager like you got to see them live. Like that can be sometimes really hard because like
Sure.
everyone's so digital
Yeah.
where it's like if they're not blowing up on TikTok, you know, but like if you have a band that's like, oh, if you see their live show, you'll understand.
Hmm.
And like I'm even working, you know, with an artist that's like, you know, oh, you know, their socials like don't really match their live per se or like something like that. And it's like, well, you gotta see them live, and then you gotta figure out how to get them the live show, which can be really difficult because everything's so saturated as well,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I mean, it's
Um,
super hard to get me to a live show.
yeah.
Like really hard. Like I have
Don't dude, go to a live show, dude.
I have a
That's your job.
family. I got
Okay, that's
like
fair.
there's parking situations I got to
You know what?
navigate.
Everyone says the parking. My partner are consistently like, "What's the parking sitch?" We came here today and was like, "What's the parking sitch?" And which lovely parking lot, but
It never used to be like that in Nashville,
it never used to be
but
like
now it
that,
is.
and
Yeah.
now it is. And I also think like, and I'm also a big. I talk about this a lot in just life and in the music industry, but I'm also sober, And
Kudos.
so thank you. And so I think as a sober person, going to a show can be pretty hard,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm getting better, but at first I was like, you won't catch me leaving my house past 6:30, 7 p.m.
I think I
So
have high social anxiety,
okay,
so I think
that's
I
also
default to,
fair.
like, wanting to have a drink in my hand,
Yeah,
which is a bummer.
that's
You know what I
okay.
mean? Like, but sometimes I can get, like, some sort of, like, seltzer or whatever
Well, yeah,
that's non-alcoholic, and that'll,
mocktails.
like as long
Yeah.
as it's in my hand,
Hmm.
like, I could chill a little bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I could talk about that all day. Of like, Liquid Death. Also, I feel like revolutionized that
Yeah.
for people because it
Looks cool.
looks like a tall boy,
Yeah.
honestly. So I remember when I was like first sober and going to shows, and they would have Liquid Death. I was like, oh, thank you. I
Yeah.
didn't feel so kind of crazy, but I think mocktails are becoming really hot now.
Mhm.
Sober curiosity is very hot.
Yeah.
I can't be sober curious. I gotta do it. But yeah, I think so. From going out, I have like more love 'cause I'm like, okay, I'll have a ginger ale or a Diet
Yeah.
Coke or
Yeah.
something.
So
But
earlier on, you dropped the word, like a pinch me moment.
yeah,
What are some pinch me moments besides working with Joy Williams
yeah.
that you've had so far?
Oh, that's a good
Well,
question.
it's hard to answer too because like I feel like I'm just now getting into a place 15 years later
Yeah,
working in the industry where I can look back and go, "Oh, that was a really cool moment." But
yeah.
when you're in it and you're
Hmm.
working and you're going 100 miles an hour every
Right.
day, you kind of
You're like,
you
oh yeah,
just you're,
whatever.
you're just going through it and it's
Hmm.
like a normal day.
Yeah,
But it's not until you like hindsight you look back and go, "That was really cool that I was actually a
yeah.
part of that moment."
I think I have some coming up. I will say.
Oh,
I think I'm
cool.
like excited for Pinch Me moments coming up, but from like my career so far, I think we when we sold out Red Rocks for KALEO,
Mhm.
um, that shows obviously not until May. So I think like being there will like enhance the pinch me. But how quickly we sold that out was definitely like
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is incredible. Um, I think what else? What else? What else? I truthfully, when I was working, I know you said you looked at my LinkedIn, which thank you.
I had to.
Gorgeous LinkedIn. There was a hotel company I worked for called Castle Rock Asset Management. And I did all of the marketing and programming for the Bobby Hotel downtown and the Westin downtown. And basically, they brought me in to like just, they would like give me a budget and be like, create things. I
Yeah.
was like, okay. And I was like the only person with music industry experience on the team. And the thing with the Bobby is that it's this like, very beautiful, unique, like boutique hotel. And so they had like basically a music venue. I like built like a music venue on the rooftop and in the garage bar and Music City. So like a lot of their marketing and programming and events basically wanted to be music based. And so I built a music series on the rooftop during the summer of like 2 years ago that like the roster was just like stacked, and that was like a pinch me moment of just like
That you
I
curated that whole
that
thing.
I created
That's
the whole
cool.
thing. Yeah, it was so incredible. And like I went to South by Southwest, and not this like, when I was doing it, and I was like found a band that I loved there who I was like, I need them to play my music series, with like going up to the agent and like begging. Like it was just like this like movie thing where I was like, I'm gonna send you a contract in an hour and like you're gonna sign it. And then like they came and it was amazing. It was just like it was that whole experience was pinch me because I was like, I am working with people I have always wanted to work with from like an agent perspective, a manager, an artist perspective, just like I just felt like I was in yeah, I was, like, in rhythm. I was, like, in system with what I wanted to be doing,
Yeah.
and I was just, like had a lot of freedom, and my boss at the time, who was, like he is just incredible and was just like, "You got this, like, go for it," and I was like, "Okay," and it was awesome, and that whole summer was pinch me because it was, like, every other week I had, like, a show that was, like, massive on a rooftop in Nashville, and then doing it at the Westin with, like, country artists
Mhm.
that aren't like Graham Barham was there, who is now, like, massive in the country space, who I went to college with, and a friend of
Tastemaker.
mine. Yeah, call me a tastemaker.
Yeah.
No, don't as but no, I have such a love for finding yeah, like, finding music. I just really do, and, like, trying to find an artist that I'm like, "Okay, they're gonna be big," and if it actually happens, then I'm like, obviously, I feel like that's everyone's dream to be like,
Mhm.
"This artist is gonna be huge." but I really felt like doing that music series, I got to just do that all the time.
Yeah.
And that was pinch me for sure. And I was very grateful to the team at that company that just kind of trusted me and trusted my taste because I was like 23, 24 years old and they were like, yeah, go for it. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, like cool.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. I remember one time
yeah,
I was well, I was like the assistant on the account, but we were working with Black Sabbath on their album 13, which
yeah.
was like their like reunion album,
Hmm.
so to speak. I think Rick Rubin produced it. But anyways, we were with Tony Iommi, the guitar player, at an award show, and we were
Yeah,
just in his dressing room talking, and I'm a guitar player, and I'm
yeah,
like that's Tony Iommi
yeah,
right there, and we're just talking,
yeah,
and then in walks Alice Cooper
yeah.
into the dressing room. So it's just me, my boss, Alice Cooper, and Tony Iommi, and I'm like, that was a pinch me moment
Oh
for
my gosh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will also say I have like a kind of a heartfelt pinch me moment, but KALEO did like a summer fall tour and I like just started as a day to day with them because how I even came into that camp was I was doing their tour marketing.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was on the tour marketing team at Red Light and I was doing all their tour marketing and then Steve and I, their manager, and I just like kind of clicked. And that just like is kind of how that happened. But so I got to go see the tour that was like selling out and just doing really well. They played Pier 17. Have you been to that venue in New York?
No, but
It-
we've had some clients play. Yeah.
It's incredible. It's beautiful. And it's like right in the financial district. And my family's from New York. And so I got to like go to like a city that kind of feels like home. It was a sold out show. And then my partner is a drummer and she's incredible. And she actually got up and played drums and like played the congos or whatever, bongos on stage with them, like with the band. And my boss is crazy and just like threw her up there because he loves her. I think more than me, honestly. And so it was like this amazing moment of like the band that I work with, my partner playing drums on stage. And it was just like this sold out venue that
Yeah.
I love. And
What
it was
act was it where there's congos?
Kaleo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
we
like,
have like bongos and
Congo?
congos and all these crazy
Cool.
things. Is it a Congo? Okay. Me looking off camera to ask her what she played. But it was is it a conga?
Oh.
Okay, you can keep that part in there. I don't know what I'm talking
Is it a
about.
Congo line that you
No,
do?
like it's
You know what I'm talking about?
they're
Like a
like
Congo line? Okay.
yeah. Anyway, it was
The
crazy. I
Congo is a
cried.
dance, I think.
I think the conga's a dance. Anyway, you can keep all of that in there. But no, I like cried a little bit. I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god."
That's super
Oh my
cool.
god, it was so cool. It was fun.
So let's say there's an artist. What would it take for an artist to be attractive to you in the sense of like, I want to manage that artist? Like, what
Mm,
are 3 things that you'd be like, check off the list of like, they got that, and they got that. Let's rock.
okay. Um, oh my god, that's a really good question. There's like there's like a couple answers in the sense of I could go like really creative on it or like really logistical. In the sense of like obviously an artist could have like really great numbers, selling out stuff, like all this crazy whatever. In my opinion, like a good mix for 3 things is like are they playing live shows at all? Like are they good live? Like a live show for me as a manager is incredibly important.
So that's a non-negotiable right there.
That's like a non-negotiable for me. Like I'm like I really believe in a live show and that it like I think any artist or any manager should. But I will be blunt that I think with the internet, like you see some people live and you're kind of like, okay, like
Mhm.
I think this might be their first show, but they
Yeah.
have a bajillion streams on TikTok. And that's okay. Like that's cool. You got to develop that. But for me, like I really love an artist who's already like really just comfortable on stage and they've like been doing this for a minute from like a stage perspective,
Yeah.
can put on a show, know how things work. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, is on time for rehearsal, like, just has a respect for their band.
Yeah.
Like, that is just very important to me. Um, Two, I think, um, has a really strong sense of just what they want to do and where they want to go. Like, if some artists I feel like I talk to are very like, you know, whatever happens, happens, or like, I just want to do this, like whatever, like is fine with me. I'm like, okay, like that's cool. That's not going to be my vibe. Like, I
Right.
want to work with someone who's like, I want to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm like, hell yeah, because like that, I'm the type of manager who's like, I'm all in. or like I don't do well when I'm just like, oh, I can help here and there, and like
Yeah.
you kind of only want to play like whatever. Like it's that I need like really clear vision, really clear desires and wants, and like this is where I want to be, and I want to strive for that consistently.
And then you come in and help reverse engineer that. Be
Yeah,
like, here are the milestones we need to hit.
right. Because I think um, uh, trying to help an artist find what they want is great, and some managers are really good at that. I that's not me. Like, not that I could have. I mean, it's just not me. Like, I'm here to like help like get you to where you want to be, and but you have to have the dream. I can't dream it for you because that is hard.
Yeah.
That's hard to do. Um, and then I think honestly, like grit is mine.
Oh,
Like
you need grit
you
for
need some
sure.
grit,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of grit in my opinion, and I think that, and I like working with people who also have grit
Yeah.
because like it is hard for me to work with an artist who kind of is just, doesn't might not really want it that bad. Like if we're talking from like a good fit for me,
Mhm.
like it's not going to be a good fit. I'll piss you right off. Like truthfully, cuz
Yeah.
I'll want it bad like more than you.
Yeah, and you can't, right?
And I can't, and I don't want to. Like
Yeah.
if you're just like I don't this is just fun for me. It should be fun. But like if they're like not as hungry as I am,
Mhm.
like that's going to be a problem
Yeah.
for me.
I think if you look at any artist who's having massive success, whatever your
Yeah.
definition of success might be, they all have grit. Like
Mhm.
you cannot play the music industry game without having grit
Oh my
because
gosh, yeah.
you're gonna get 100 times more no's than you are gonna get yeses, and
Yeah.
you're gonna get 100 times no opportunities when you get one opportunity,
Yeah.
and it becomes a game of like, how do we leverage that one opportunity to
Mhm.
get more and create
Oh my
momentum
gosh, yeah.
for more? You know?
Yeah. And like, it's just and thinking outside the box too of like being okay that you might not get an opening slot on a tour, but like what can we manufacture or figure out so we can get you playing?
Yeah.
Cuz getting on a tour if you don't have an agent or just like even getting an agent can be really hard. So it's like, okay, how can we think outside the box and think creatively about getting you in front of people so then we can get you an agent. And if you're not like willing to do that with me, of like put it like earlier when we were talking about puzzle pieces and stuff, like if you're not willing to kind of think outside the box with me, like I don't, we're at a loss kind of. You
Yeah.
know what I
I
mean?
mean, any artist out there right now could go open up for Dave Matthews Band. You just will
Yeah.
be unofficially opening, and you just got to do it in the parking lot.
Right.
But you could follow the band
Yeah.
around and do every venue parking lot and perform
Yeah.
in the parking lot. And hey, that might be so cool and unique that people dig it,
Yeah.
if it's a right fit for
A
that
hundred
audience.
percent. 100%. And like, you know, you see a lot of like, I think too, when you move to Nashville and like specifically speaking in this town, like a lot of people, they call it like a 10-year town too.
Yeah.
And which do they still even say that? Or has that been retired?
No, and I think it rings kind of true.
I think it rings true as
Yeah.
well. Um, but you gotta be willing to kind of like put that work in. And like sometimes like people out of Nashville are like built different, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like
You hear the phrase pay your dues a lot,
pay your
which
dues, yeah.
turns many people off, especially these days. But you do have to pay your dues.
You
And part of paying your
do.
dues is gaining wisdom and really learning how the industry operates, each
Mhm.
sector, so
Yeah.
you can get into a position where you can maximize whatever your input is
Yeah.
and you have a complete understanding. And part of that comes with paying your dues and learning.
Yeah, I think like yeah, paying your dues, man. I think that's on both sides as an artist and as the business.
Yeah,
I'm still paying dues. I'll be paying dues for a minute, I think.
for sure.
But, I think artists, feeling comfortable with paying their dues. And also, it doesn't have to be brutal. It doesn't have to be grueling. It just takes patience and hard work. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It
Just
doesn't
reframe what paying your dues means.
right, because I think also there's like a level of like, paying your dues, like that's just the whole system's, messed up. But it's like that's not necessarily what it has to mean. It can mean like you gotta just keep putting that work in for
Mhm.
like a minute. And
And that's where you're going to develop grit,
yeah,
one of the characteristics you're
right.
looking for. That's where you're going to develop probably a great stage presence for a
Yeah.
live performance and how to be
Hmm.
a true entertainer, which
Yeah.
is the second thing you need. And the third thing you said you needed to be for an artist to be attracted to
You got
you as
it.
a manager? Like,
What did
um,
I say? Vision, grit.
vision, having a vision,
Yeah.
and you will find your true vision on
Yeah.
that road of paying your
There you
dues,
go.
right? That's why it's important.
It is. It is why it's important. And like, I think too, it's just it can be fun. Music should be fun. And
Yeah,
like don't lose like try not to lose that. A lot of times it's like you talk to musicians or artists and they're like already jaded and I'm like, "What the hell?"
yeah,
Like, I don't want to be jaded. I don't want you to be jaded,
right.
I want to still love this. If I wanted to go do something incredibly boring and hate my life, I will.
Yeah,
But I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to like do what I love. And I want you to do what you love? So,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
as we all are.
As we all
Um,
are.
I don't want to take up all your time.
I
I
love
feel
it.
like we've had a great chat.
This is
I could
awesome.
probably do like multiple segments of this just chatting with you because you're easy to talk to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Let's wrap up with some fill in the blank questions. Are
Oh
you ready for
God.
this?
Yeah. Is this like a trivia?
It's kind of no, it's like your expertise
Oh God.
filling in the
Okay.
blank on the question.
I was gonna say
Okay.
if it's trivia, I'm gonna shit the bed.
No, no, not
Okay.
trivia. This is just your opinion, okay?
Okay.
Okay, artists need to get better at blank.
Emailing.
That's
No,
funny.
it's so real.
Reply all.
Yeah. Please don't send me an email 4 times or like just because I don't respond. Oh, that's like a cold email.
Yeah, when she doesn't respond to an email, then text her,
Oh my
especially
gosh.
late at night.
Yes, please. No, if you get the email from me that's like there's certain people in my life, personal and professional, where I'm like, if I don't email you back within this time frame, you can text me. And if I don't text you back, please call me.
Mhm.
Like that's like my
That's the chain.
yeah, but I think managers, it's like telling someone not to text you at night is like
It's
I
a
have
24/7
to.
gig.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's like, what am I saying? But
Right.
yeah, artists need to get better at emailing.
Okay. I like that answer, and I agree. My pet peeve is they don't reply all.
They don't reply all. What is that?
I mean, when there's like 3 people on a team,
Mhm.
whatever sector of this industry we're talking about, like they're on a team for a reason, and they need to be in sync
Or
with
they
the
like
communication.
sidebar with you. That's like
Yeah.
important information that needs to go to everybody. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
and
you
then
don't
they
need to
just go
sidebar
straight.
with
Yeah,
me.
I know.
Because now I have to do it.
Right.
So, you can
Okay.
just email.
Artists, you need to get better at emailing. Okay, this is a double fill in the blank. This is where it gets a little complex. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, artists need to focus more on blank, less on blank.
Okay. Artists need to focus more on art.
Ooh.
Ooh. And less on TikTok.
Let's drill down on this because I think you're saying something that's so accurate. Like, I feel like artists now get stuck in this, like, playing the algorithm game. Like,
Yeah.
how, like, just like, let's pump out content and let's release a song every 4 to 6 weeks or,
Yeah.
6 to 8 weeks. And, like, nothing is actually of true quality or unique or standing out in a creative sense.
Yeah.
And everything is very cookie cutter. And I think that's one of the biggest problems we're having right now.
Here's my stance on this, which maybe I'll get canceled. But I look into the camera. Here's my stance on TikTok. When I say like focus more on art and less on TikTok, it's like you can brand and market the shit out of a song on TikTok. I love that. I love when a really good fucking song gets shoved down my throat. Please.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's that song? Sailor Song by Gigi Perez. Do you guys know her? She's awesome. You guys should look her up.
Okay.
And that song was like, it's a great song, but like make incredible art and it will do well, in my opinion. And maybe that's like, I think it's like, oh, you're in the industry. Like, of course you're going to say that. It's like, okay, like, sure. But I love when I see a real, like, you can tell the difference, in my opinion, when it's like, oh, that song is good. That artist knows who they are. That's on, there's a amazing artist. Her name's Camille Schmidt. And she popped up on my TikTok and I was like, whoa, because the song was cool. It was weird. The video was so unique.
Mm-hmm.
She, like, the whole thing fit. And it was just like, it was on TikTok, it was on Instagram. And I'm like, yeah, you're using what the platform is used for, but you're not creating art that you think will do well on that platform. That's
Right.
where people get tripped up, in my opinion, where it's like, we don't need to be creating a TikTok hit. You just need to create really good music. And I believe that it'll do well in the world, but if we're talking specifically on the internet.
Yeah. I
But
mean, just go look at examples of like medium build. I'm sure you're familiar,
yes,
right?
that's a great one.
The visuals are so good.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's not focus on like, we need to do 100 pieces of content this month. No, let's do 10 pieces of content
Mhm.
that are exceptional.
Yeah, or let's capitalize on like, okay, you wrote this awesome song that we know is going to do really well. Like, let's just make some content around that. We don't need to go pump out 20 songs.
Yeah.
We can, you have 2 or 3 really great songs. Let's like create some really cool content. Or really what I love, and I think we've seen this a lot with KALEO, or we try to do this with KALEO, where it's like, let's make some really beautiful long form videos, like a music video or something of the sort, and then we can just chop it up.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need to be, let's go sit in a room and do like, TikToks all day. Like,
No, let's
my
do
artist's not gonna
something
do that,
the
first of
most
all.
extreme. Like, let's go perform in the Coliseum.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just go perform in like a
And by the
massive
way, I'm
thing.
not talking about the Los Angeles Coliseum. I'm talking about like the Roman
Yeah,
Coliseum,
the Italian one.
the
Yeah.
one that's like ancient.
Did you watch the video of him performing on horseback?
No, I didn't see
You should
that.
go look that one up.
Again, interesting,
I'll send you the
entertaining.
bloopers for that. But no, that one was entertaining. But I mean, and then you know what? We chop it up. We put on TikTok, hot cowboy. There you go. Boom, TikTok. Like,
Yeah.
but it's also like on long form. So I think there's a happy medium for using the platforms in which they're created for, but also making art that people can see that it's real and
Yeah.
true. I mean, I could talk about that all day.
Yeah. And if you want a manager on your team to do a great job, then
Mhm.
you as the artist need to do a great job at creating the art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like our job too as managers is to, you know, free you up to create art. So it's like my job is to, give you the space. This is what I say with Joy all the time is like our job as managers and as a team is to give you the freedom and the space to create whatever it is that's true for you. And then it's our job to go make people love it,
Yeah.
and like get it in front of the right people and faces and come up with the ideas of getting it to the right ears.
Yeah.
And I think that like even with KALEO, like the album that's coming out in May is like it's been a long time coming. And so it's like getting the marketing for that album and how we're going to do that from like a digital perspective is always the conversation, of course. But even non-digital, I'm a big fan of non-digital marketing. Like I talk about that a lot in meetings of like, okay, ads, content, phenomenal. What else are we going to do?
Hmm.
Like and again, I think that like comes from the hotel world, which like I will say this till my deathbed of like my experience outside of the music industry, which also kind of still in it, but outside has changed my life and the way that I do work forever. And I'm incredibly grateful for that experience because it just put a lot of things into perspective for me as for like the consumer and like, for the fan and just, all sorts of things. But, getting everything sorted for an album release is more than just digital and is more than just TikTok,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
That was a long form answer.
No, but being creative, like with the marketing strategies,
Mhm.
and like you said, like let's do some traditional marketing that's not just
Yeah.
digital.
Yeah.
Because if a million artists are doing X, then maybe we should try Y,
Yeah.
and then we'll stand out a little bit more.
Right. And, I think um trying to just really think about the fan, and think about the consumer is my biggest thing. It's how I approach everything.
Yeah.
So we're asking fans as an industry to spend a lot of money on things, like a
Hmm.
lot of money. So we're going to make sure that like we are giving them the best experience possible and the most opportunities to experience things as possible.
Yeah.
So it's not just TikTok marketing. It's not just, you know, YouTube or whatever. It's like, okay, we have all this digital stuff and we're asking fans to buy tickets and or buy this album or pre-save or whatever. It's like, okay, then the next level, in my opinion, is what are we going to do to make them want to do that, make them want to come to stuff, make them want to buy a ticket, all sorts of things. And like, that's, pop-up shows, VIP experiences when I'm a big fan of VIP, obviously. And that's a whole world and making that VIP experience incredible for the fan and important to them and like making artists and aware that like what we're doing is a privilege, in my
Yeah,
opinion. The music industry and working in this industry is a privilege.
for sure.
And creating art is such a privilege. And like giving a fan an amazing experience of like a pop-up show at a bar downtown, just popping up and playing or something like that.
Like Ed Sheeran just did at
Yeah, did you
Tootsie's,
see
right?
that? That's why I said
Yeah,
that. Like he popped up and played at Tootsie's the other night.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, also crazy. But you know, like that means the world to a fan because I can promise you that people in that room saved up a lot of money to come to Nashville and this is their trip for the year,
hmm
you know? And it's like we have to make sure as a community, as artists, as managers, all these things that we're like really focusing on that, in my opinion.
yeah. Creating experiences and moments that
Yeah.
the fan leaves and
Mhm.
tells like 100 people throughout their lifetime of
Yeah.
like, this is what this artist did, and I was there.
Yeah, and, like, that's how you know, that's how you build a fan base too, is, like and build fans that wanna stay with you and support you,
Yeah,
is because they, like I mean, you see, you know, all sorts of bands, like, the way that they do their VIP and the way that they interact with fans and, like, even just, like, some, like, apps they use of, like, a fan club. A fan club experience is really
hmm
important and just, like, behind the scenes footage and, like, that stuff can seem tedious to the artist and, like, artist team, but that goes such a long way for a fan, and that's how you get asses in seats,
hmm
and you get people buying your merch, and, like, all sorts of things,
yeah.
you know?
Make the fan feel special.
Make the fan feel special, you
There's
know?
a rock star, and I won't name his name, that I've met a couple of times, and he makes you feel like you're the only person in the room.
Yeah.
I think it's called charisma,
Yeah.
right?
Some
Charismatic.
yeah.
Makes you feel like you're the only
Mhm.
person in the room, like you're the only fan that matters at this moment right now, even though
Yeah.
there's 100 of us in this room.
Right.
And it's like that is a skill set in itself that I think artists could, really benefit from learning.
100%. I think, you know, there's a artist who I've heard the way that she talks to you, the way that she just like takes time to, you know, she'll give you a ring off your finger. Like she's a very like intentional artist with people that she doesn't need to be. Like that goes such a long way and there's a reason she
hmm
is who she is.
Winona
And
Judd
like
was like that for me when I worked
yeah,
with her. Yeah.
like Halsey was like that for me when I met her. I we
Let's make a list.
Yeah, let's make a list of all the incredible artists doing this. Um, not to name drop, but yeah, like I think there's a lot of amazing artists who are just so personable and like
Yeah.
understand that it's so important to.
And without the fans, then you're
Without
just
fans, you have nothing.
yeah, you're just
Truthfully,
making music for your family,
which is
which is
cool. Go
cool.
do that. I
Which
do
is
that.
cool. Which is cool.
Which is cool. Whatever. You don't need to manager them, but
Yeah. Um, I really enjoyed this
me
conversation.
too.
Thank you
This
for
is
coming in and
incredible.
doing this.
Thank you. Hopefully, I didn't say anything too damaging or
No,
upsetting.
if we did, we'll edit it out.
Okay, thanks.
All right.